know you.
Good morning. I'm Zoe, and today on Getting to Know You, I'll be talking with Officer Philip Ball. Officer Ball is a police officer with the Carrollton City Police Department. So, officer, what is your typical day like as a policeman?
Starts real early. I get up about 4 a.m., get to the police department about 5. I check out the police car, make sure the computer is working well, that I have a rifle and I have a shotgun to protect everybody. And then I have medical equipment in the car so that if I get there, and a lot of times we get there first, if I get there first, then I can go ahead and stop the bleeding and start the healing. So we've got to have all kinds of various equipment and things in the car so that we can protect you guys in whatever situation we're thrown into. And then I go inside and we have a roll call where we talk about the crimes that have happened the night before, things that we can anticipate in that day and get prepared for the day. And then as the calls start coming in, we respond to them. That's how my day starts.
You mentioned a laptop, but what other things do you have in your patrol unit?
Well, we also have a camera system, and I think the camera system is really important. There's actually 3 cameras employed in my everyday work. There's a camera watching everything going on in front of the patrol car, and that catches all the traffic offenses and things that we pull up on and see. There's an in-car camera that shows everything that goes on inside the police car, so that it shows that we take good care of people and we don't harm people, and they're actually transported to jail in relative comfort. And then there's also a body camera that I wear, and every time I clip it on, I think of Iron Man. You know, it has that glowing thing in his chest. But I clip it on, it captures everything and everybody that I talk to that day. So that when somebody does something that violates the law, you know, a lot of times they don't tell the truth about it in court. Well, we usually have on one of those 3 cameras, or all 3 of those cameras, what they did. So we can go to court with that evidence, say, Your Honor, here's what they did. I know they're saying something else, but this is what they did. And that helps us win the case.
We all can recognize a police officer by their uniform, but what tools do you carry on your belt?
Well, on the front here I have handcuffs in case we've got to take somebody to jail. They put the handcuffs on them so they can't hurt us. And then next to that I have some pepper mace in case they're being violent and resisting. This helps me distract them. In certain situations, in very remote situations, we have a firearm in case, you know, we're encountering somebody that's a really big threat to the public. And then behind that I have what's called a CAT tourniquet, combat application tourniquet. If somebody's cut really bad or they're shot, we can put that on and stop the bleeding and actually save a life. If you go farther around, I've got a very big flashlight here that I use to illuminate a large area when I'm looking for somebody. Then next to that is my radio. Now the radio has many frequencies in it, you know, because sometimes if we have a large disaster, we might have other agencies in surrounding cities coming to help us. And then in front of my radio is where I normally have my taser. I don't have one right now, but I have a taser. That kind of jams their muscles so that they can't hurt you while they're riding the lightning. We go ahead and cuff them up, and then we can get them to where they need to be without them being hurt or us being hurt. And then in front of where I keep the taser, I have a very little flashlight in case my large one goes down, that I still have some light. And I have some extra bullets here, just in case we get into a prolonged situation and I need those.
So, have you ever rode the lightning before?
Yes, every officer that is required to carry a taser is required to, as we jokingly call it, riding the lightning. And that really, I know everybody's wondering, what does that feel like? Well, you know when you get a Charlie horse and your muscle, like say in your calf, contracts, it hurts really bad and you can't move? Imagine every muscle in your body going through that. Because what the taser does is it fires that electricity in there and it contracts all your muscles. And that's called NMI, neuromuscular incapacitation. And so what that does, it keeps them from fighting us so that we can, again, cuff them and get them to where they need to be without us getting hurt and them getting hurt. And it causes no permanent damage.
In order to become a police officer, do you have to go to college or a special school?
I think there are many police departments that still hire you without a college education. But if you do have any college or you have a degree, that really does help you get onto the department, get that job. And then once you're there, it helps you to advance, you know, to corporal, sergeant, captain, and the sky's the limit. Helps you do a professional job. You know, a lot of things you do as a police officer is verbal communication and written communication. So if you have that education, you can communicate effectively.
So what training did you have to go through?
Well, there's a variety of training we go through in the police academy. There's physical agility training. Then we have training in what's called crisis intervention. Now, crisis intervention is the newest training that's sweeping the nation and enables officers to be able to determine whether somebody's having a mental issue or if it's criminal behavior. And then there's all kinds of other training on how to write reports effectively, safety for the firearm, because, sometimes, bad guys use firearms, and sometimes we have to use firearms in order to stop that threat. But every time that we draw our weapon, we want to be safe about it so that when we use it, that we don't endanger other people. And even defensive tactics training, which is our variation of martial arts.
So if we see a canine in public, are we allowed to go up and approach it or pet it?
Well, what I would recommend, if you see a canine, ask the canine officer, hey, is it okay to pet your dog? Because canines can be a lot like humans. You know how there's some, unless they've had enough rest and they've had their coffee in the morning, they're kind of irritable. Well, canines can be like that too. If they hadn't had enough rest and they haven't had their kibbles and bits, they can be a little irritable. So just always ask the officer for safety. And those are very sophisticated dogs that they have. I'm told it takes thousands of dollars to find the right kind of dog, and then they spend thousands of dollars on the training. I remember one agency I worked at, every day when I walked in the front door, the canine would be jumping in the air, barking at me. And they told me I had to stand perfectly still. And then they would give it a command in German. This one was a German Schutzhund dog, and it responded to 100 commands in different German words.
So last but not least, a question we've all been wondering. We know that most police officers like donuts, but do you like donuts?
I've got to confess, I love donuts, and the very best, in my opinion, is a Krispy Kreme donut. And for those of you that have ever had the privilege of going to a Krispy Kreme bakery and catching one of those donuts fresh from the oven, it is heavenly.
So that about wraps up our interview today, but did you have anything you wanted to share with our viewers?
Well, especially for the kids, I want you to know that most police officers are police officers because we like to protect and help people. Now, there are many times I see people saying, you see that officer, he's going to get you. And they kind of use us as discipline or some kind of a threat. I want you to know that we're here to protect you, and we're your friend. If you're ever in any kind of trouble, do not be afraid to approach a police officer. Whether you're 20 or 100 years old, we're here to help you and protect you. Thank you.
Thank you, Officer Ball, for speaking with us today, and thank you for your service. This has been a Bravo Kids production. I'm Zoe Geis, and I'll catch you later.